We often believe that helping someone is the highest expression of love, compassion, and morality. When a friend is struggling, we rush in to offer advice. When a child is failing, we try to shape their path. When a partner feels lost, we attempt to lift them with our own strength. Society has conditioned us to see helping as a virtue, a sign of goodness, a badge of selflessness. But have you ever wondered if in trying to save another person we might actually be making them weaker? Jiddu Krishnamurti often pointed out something that seems almost paradoxical. He said that real transformation, real clarity, can never be given from the outside. It has to be discovered by the individual, within themselves. No amount of advice, no amount of hand-holding, no amount of well-meaning interference can replace that inner discovery. And yet, most of us feel compelled to fix others. Why? Perhaps because it gives us a sense of importance. Perhaps because we cannot stand to see another person suffer. Or perhaps because we are uncomfortable with our own helplessness, so we rush in to act. Imagine someone who is trying to learn how to walk after an injury. If every time they stumble, you grab their arm, lift their weight, and move their legs for them, will they ever develop the strength to walk on their own? Your help, though filled with care, has robbed them of their struggle. And within that struggle lies their growth. Krishnamurti once said, "The moment you follow someone, you cease to follow truth." This does not apply only to religious leaders or political figures. It applies to us, in daily life, when we allow someone else to lean too heavily on us. If you try to be another person's crutch, they may never develop their own capacity to stand. And without that capacity, they remain dependent. Think about the relationships we have, between parents and children, between lovers, between friends. So much of what we call love is entangled with control. A parent says, "I know what's best for you. Follow my guidance." A partner insists, "Without me, you won't make it." A friend declares, "You need me, otherwise you'll collapse." And while the words may sound supportive, the underlying message is poisonous. You are not enough without me. What happens then? The person begins to believe it. They stop questioning. They stop observing. They stop discovering for themselves. They accept the borrowed strength of another, and in doing so, they lose their own. This is how helping can become harmful. Not because the intention is bad, but because the result is dependency. Krishnamurti encouraged us to look deeply into the nature of suffering, not to escape it, not to cover it with comforting words, not to run to another for answers, but to stay with it, to watch it directly. He believed that it is only through such direct perception that transformation occurs. When you solve someone else's problem for them, you are robbing them of that perception. You are stealing their opportunity to see clearly what life is trying to show them. Now let's make this more concrete. Picture a teenager struggling with loneliness. A parent sees their pain and immediately says, "Don't worry, you're amazing. You'll find friends. You'll be fine." On the surface, it looks supportive. But what has really happened? The teenager has been distracted from their own inner observation. Instead of facing the loneliness, instead of watching the subtle ways in which their mind reacts to isolation, they are comforted and covered with words. They lose the chance to understand loneliness deeply. And because of that, loneliness remains. Or think of someone grieving after a loss. Friends rush in saying, "Stay strong. You'll get over it. Time heals everything." Again, the intention is kindness. But the effect? The grieving person is encouraged to push away their sorrow rather than to sit with it, to see what it reveals about attachment, love, and impermanence. True strength does not come from avoiding suffering, nor from having others carry it for us. It comes from being with suffering fully until it dissolves naturally. Helping, in the conventional sense, often means taking away another's burden. But what if the burden itself is the teacher? What if the weight they are carrying is the very thing that can awaken them to a deeper understanding? In trying to carry it for them, we may deprive them of the lesson. Krishnamurti spoke often about the subtle forms of authority. The helper becomes an authority, even without realizing it. And authority always breeds dependence. To be truly free, one must see without relying on another's vision. This is why he urged people not to follow him, not to accept his words blindly, but to question, to observe, to find out for themselves. He did not want disciples. He wanted human beings who are free. So when we look at our own relationships, the question arises, are we truly helping, or are we subtly creating dependence? Are we empowering the other to stand in their own clarity, or are we making ourselves feel important by being needed? To see this requires honesty. It is uncomfortable, because sometimes we realize that what we call help is actually a disguised form of control. We may not want the other to grow too strong, because then they might not need us. And being needed makes us feel safe, valuable, even loved. This is why Krishnamurti's teaching is radical. He asks us to love without dependence, to care without control, to stand beside another without interfering. That does not mean we abandon people. It means we offer presence instead of solutions. We listen without judgment. We give space for the other to see clearly for themselves. Real compassion is not about carrying another's burden. It is about walking beside them as they carry it, until they discover that the burden can be put down. There's a subtle difference between presence and interference. Presence is like sunlight. It warms, it illuminates, it nourishes, but it doesn't try to reshape the flower. Interference, on the other hand, is like a gardener who keeps pulling at the petals to make them open faster. In the attempt to accelerate growth, the flower is damaged. Think about the time someone has truly helped you in your life. Was it when they gave you 1,000 pieces of advice? Or was it when they simply stood beside you, allowing you the space to find your own way? Many people remember the friend who listened without judgment, the mentor who asked a simple question rather than giving a lecture, the parent who trusted them to stumble and stand again. That kind of support is not weakening, it is strengthening, because it honors the inner intelligence of the other person. Krishnamurti often said that truth is a pathless land. No one can lead you to it. And that applies to every challenge we face. No one can lead you through grief, through loneliness, through fear. Others can walk beside you, but the walking is yours to do. If someone carries you the whole way, you arrive nowhere, because you have not really traveled. This idea goes against much of what society teaches us. Our culture celebrates rescuers, the hero who saves the day, the parent who shields the child from every pain, the friend who rushes in with solutions. We admire these gestures, but we rarely ask, what happens after? Does the rescued person stand taller, or do they lean more heavily on the rescuer? Do they grow in understanding, or do they repeat the same struggle again and again, always looking for someone else to pull them out? True freedom is born when a human being sees directly for themselves the nature of their own mind and heart. That seeing cannot be given. It cannot be handed over like a gift. It must arise from within. And so the most compassionate act may not be to rescue, but to allow the space for that seeing to take place. Take the example of a child learning to ride a bicycle. If the parent never lets go of the seat, the child may feel safe, but they will never know balance. At some point, the parent must release their grip, even if it means the child will wobble, stumble, and fall. Only in that moment of direct contact with reality does the child discover balance for themselves. That discovery stays forever, because it is theirs. In relationships, the same principle applies. If we keep rescuing our partner from their insecurities, they may never face the roots of those insecurities. If we keep saving our friends from loneliness, they may never learn how to meet loneliness with awareness. If we constantly shield our children from failure, they may never discover resilience. What looks like love can, in truth, be fear. Fear of watching another suffer, fear of being useless, fear of letting go of control. Krishnamurti asked us to observe these fears honestly, to see how our desire to help often arises from our own discomfort. We want to fix others not only for their sake, but also to silence the anxiety within ourselves. When they are safe, we feel safe. When they are happy, we feel relieved. But if our help is rooted in our own fear, can it ever be true compassion? Compassion, in Krishnamurti's sense, is something much deeper. It is not pity, not charity, not the desire to rescue. It is the intelligence of love that sees clearly. It recognizes that each human being must awaken in their own way, in their own time. Compassion does not interfere, but it does not abandon either. It is present, patient, attentive. It does not say, "I will save you." It says, "I am here, and I trust that you can see for yourself." This is not easy. It requires courage to let another struggle. It requires trust to let another walk their path without constant interference. And it requires humility to admit that we do not have the answers for them. All we can do is create the space, offer the silence, and allow the truth to emerge from within them. So the next time you feel the urge to rescue someone, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I truly helping, or am I taking away their chance to grow? Real love is not about making others dependent on us. It is about respecting their ability to face life directly. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is not advice, not solutions, not rescue, but presence. To sit quietly with another in their pain without trying to change it. To trust that within them lies the same intelligence that lies within all of us, the capacity to see, to learn, to awaken. Krishnamurti reminded us that freedom cannot be given and truth cannot be borrowed. Each person must discover it for themselves. So let us love without control, support without rescuing, and walk beside others without carrying them. Because only then do we allow them to find their own strength, and only then is our love truly liberating.